Steamboat Willie was very happy sailing and working on his steamboat until one day, while being in the sea, he was attacked by a bunch of pirates. So legend has it. 100 years later, his ship turned up as a tourist attraction, and it was a big hit. Families and tourists spent big money to sail on the ship, and it was turned into almost like a mini theme park on water. Everything was going great until one night, the ghost of Steamboat Willie decided to take revenge on the ship's managers and everyone who worked on it and who paid money to sail on it. There was pandemonium as Steamboat Willie wreaked havoc, throwing people overboard alive if he hadn't killed them already. The boat was lost in sea after that day, and nobody really knew what had really happened. People back home were shocked, looking at footage of the carnage from videos that were taken on phones and posted online. The ship hasn't been recovered since, and none of the bodies have been found. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Mary woke up feeling very groggy. She realised she was in a hospital room and didn't remember what happened to her get there. She lay down wondering what had happened and was hoping some doctor would come into her room very soon and explain to her. She hoped it wasn't serious. She tried to remember what she was doing the night before, but everything seemed to be a blur. Suddenly a doctor walked into the room and smiled at Mary and said, "Oh dear, you had a very nasty fall last night and hit your head, and you were taken in by a very kind person who didn't even leave their name, but it was very lucky of them to have found you, because if they didn't, well then, you might have just fell unconscious again on the street until a car ran you over. We have to run tests, and I'm very sorry, but when you fell unfortunately into a pool of muddy water, so we had to take your clothes off." A few minutes later, she had decided to get out of the bed and open the door, but got a surprise when it was locked. Mary learned a trick as a teenager to pick a lock with her hair clip, so that is exactly what she did. She was expecting to see a hospital, but what she saw to her surprise was what looked like a cabin in the woods. She could see the window and the woods outside, and just an empty room. She got a worse shock when she saw a newspaper resting on the table with the headline "Killer Dresses Victims in Red Dress." She suddenly jumped when she heard the man who claimed to be a doctor say, well, how did you get out of that locked room?" Mary ran for the door, but the man locked it before she could get there. Suddenly she ran to the room that was made to look like a hospital room. He pushed her into where the dress was lying. She wrapped it around his neck and pulled it as hard as she could until she choked him to death. She then ran and ran out of the cabin and eventually made her way to a diner to call the police. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Susan was very happy when she finally had a break. She was working 2 jobs for 4 years, trying to make ends meet, but no matter how hard she tried to work, nothing seemed to be enough to be able to pay for the bills she owed. She just lived in a small apartment, but the bills still seemed to mount up and up. Her twin sister was in a worse situation. She was living homeless and had a big drink problem. She moved from shelter to shelter until sadly she died after getting hit by a car. Susan had her big break when she was left a house. She was able to give up her jobs and concentrate on working from home. She felt a lot happier in herself until it was time to move into her new house. It should have been such a wonderful experience for her to move into the new house, but she felt uneasy the minute she stepped inside the door. She heard footsteps at night when she was in bed, and when she was trying to read and sit by the fire, all of a sudden there was a cold breeze and the fire would go out. She even brought in a paranormal expert, but that did no good either. One day it all made sense to her when she was sitting just inside the door crying. She felt a very cold chill come over her, something that she got used to since moving into this wretched house, she told herself. She saw her dead sister's ghost in front of her, and she said, "You bitch, this house was left to me, and you took my identity and took this house which was mine. I'm going to make sure this house will never be comfortable for you. I'm going to haunt this house as long as you live here." Her sister was not going to let her get away with taking her identity and taking what was hers. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Jack was lying on his bed when he was trying to buy tickets to one of his favourite death metal bands, which were called Dark. He knew the tickets would be like gold dust, so he started queuing up on the ticket site as soon as they went on sale at 9 a.m. He felt a sudden drop in his stomach as he was one of thousands waiting in the queue. Suddenly he felt a thrill rush through him. He was chosen to buy 4 tickets for the price of ordinary ones, but they were in the pit in the front of the stage. It was shut off from the rest of the crowd and was known to be a mosh pit, but he was happy to mosh with his friends there. The band's latest song was called Another Realm, and himself and his friends were really looking forward to hear them perform it. He was telling his friends in school about the tickets, and they were so happy that they got them. First they thought they might not even have a chance to buy tickets to go to the concert, but to get tickets for the pit was like a dream come true. The day of the concert, Jack and his friends were driving to the venue. Jack was the driver, and they were all singing along to their songs. The band Dark was their absolutely #1 favourite band, so this was going to be the best day ever for them. They were so excited, the buzz was amazing. When they reached the venue, fans were already outside, soaking up the atmosphere for hours, and inside the excitement was electrifying. The crowd were going crazy to the band's music. Then finally the main event came, and it was time to Dark play Another Realm. Suddenly a huge black hole appeared and seemed to suck everything out from the stage and pit. The band disappeared, and everyone in the pit did also. The crowd were left stunned, as the band and the chosen fans for the pit were transported to another realm. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Jason used to love listening to music, because when he listened to music, he could tune out all of the other sounds. The reason he wanted to tune them out is because he had a condition. He didn't know what the condition was. First, when he visited his doctor, they said to him it was a condition called hypercuteus, but it wasn't that, because he looked it up later and it didn't match. He just had hearing that you could maybe associate Superman to have. If he was in a certain part of a city, he could be blindfolded and tell you what part of the city it was by hearing different sounds, like maybe birds singing, or a school where there would be children playing, or maybe a waterfall, which if it was in a city, must be maybe a man-made one, so easy to pin down the area. One day Jason was reading the paper and came across an article about a serial killer, kidnapping people, making videos of them, begging for mercy, and then the bodies end up dead in a location he gives away on the dark web where the videos surface. He read and read about the case and also had access to the videos, so he thought of a great idea. He wondered, could he pinpoint where the victims were before they were murdered and help the police catch the killer? He decided to listen to the videos, not watch, just listen. He didn't even have his eyes open. He knew the killer wouldn't be so stupid enough to let the location be known in the video of the person being held captive, begging for mercy. He almost straight away discovered something huge while listening to the latest video's audio. He listened to the person being held captive, and what he could hear was the man begging and pleading for mercy. But that wasn't what really shocked him. It's what he heard in the background. He heard a house alarm go off in the distance, and after that he could hear a dog barking. But what really shocked him to the core was what he heard then. It was bells. He recognized those bells instantly. There were his local church bells. His local church was just around the corner from him. He knew the sound that the person being held captive must have been living near him. Jason knew the sheriff was living next door, so he quickly, not wasting any time, went to his house and knocked on the door. There was no reply, so he walked around the back. Something didn't seem right. He could hear clawing and put it down to maybe a cat or a dog, but he knew that the sheriff had no dog. The next house did, but he knew the clawing didn't come from next door. It was coming from down in the sheriff's basement. Something didn't feel right. He saw that the window was open ajar, so he climbed in and followed the clawing. When he opened the basement door, a chill ran up his spine when he saw the man in the video tied to a chair. He rang 911, hoping that when the police arrived, it wouldn't be the sheriff that came home. The next day, everything was cleaned up, and when he told people the story, everyone thought he was crazy. The sheriff thanked his lucky cards that it was his partner in crime that answered the emergency call. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content.